Castel Gandolfo is a town located 15 miles southeast of Rome in the Lazio region of Italy, occupying a height on the Alban Hills overlooking Lake Albano. Castel Gandolfo has a population of approximately 8,834 residents and is considered one of Italy's most scenic towns. Within the town's boundaries lies the Apostolic Palace of Castel Gandolfo, which serves as a summer residence and vacation retreat for the Pope, the leader of the Catholic Church. Although the palace is located within the borders of Castel Gandolfo, it has extraterritorial status as one of the properties of the Holy See and is not under Italian jurisdiction. The resort community includes almost the whole coastline of Lake Albano, which is surrounded by many summer residences, villas, and cottages built during the 17th century. It houses the Stadio Olimpico that staged the rowing events during the Rome Olympics. Castel Gandolfo has several places of archaeological interest, including the Emissario del Lago Albano and the remains of the Villa of Domitian. The area is included within the boundaries of the Parco Regionale dei Castelli Romani. There are also many points of artistic interest, such as the Collegiate Church of St. Thomas of Villanova, designed by Gian Lorenzo Bernini. Geography. Territory. The boundaries of the town extend obliquely in a north-northeast turn around the hilly area of the Alban Hills and the plains of Agro Romanus. It is included and protected by the Regional Park of Castelli Romani, formed in 1984. Most of the soil is of volcanic origin, with prevalence of materials such as tuff and pozzolana. Its seismic classification is rated as Zone 2 hydrography. The main water body is Lake Albano, often called Lake Castel Gandolfo. The province of Rome currently manages the lake. Up to 1802, it was the property of the Abbey of St. Nicholas Grottaferrata, the Apostolic Camera, and then owned by Prince Stanislaus Poniatowski in 1870. Topography. The maximum elevation registered in the territory is 425 meters above sea level, at the Collegio di Propaganda adjoining Villa Barberini. On the crown of the hills around the Lake Albano, the elevation is only 400 meters above sea level, at the summit of Monte Cucco, bordering Marino. Towards the Tyrrhenian Sea, the land slopes gently, so from 250 meters from the Casale Santa Cristina, below Castel Cervello bordering Albano, goes to 217 meters above sea level at Col Lilly, to 200 meters above sea level at Pozzo do Vale, to 155 meters Corto Santa bordering Marino, to 130 meters above sea level of the Laghetto di Terno. The lowest elevation of the territory is 101 meters above sea level at the village of Pavona. Climate. In terms of climate, the area falls within the domain of the temperate Mediterranean climate, with mild winters, autumn temperatures higher than those of spring, and ventilated summers. In the area of Colli Albani, and at Castel Gandolfo, the phenomenon known as storm, which is the reduction of water vapor in the clouds as the ground rises, can be observed. Summers are hot and dry, while winter is mild and rainy without, in general, extreme low temperatures and snow. In summer, temperatures can reach 35 degrees Celsius with peaks of 37 degrees Celsius in rare cases. Climate classification. Zone D, 1966 GRG. Etymology. The name Castel Gandolfo is derived from the Latin Castrum Gandolfi. The name of the castle on this site was presumably owned by the family of Gandolfi, originally from Genoa. History. Ancient archaeological findings from the 16th century BC have been found in the area of what is now Castel Gandolfo. Near the site of the modern Castel Gandolfo there stood in pre-Roman age the famous Alba Longa, capital of the Latin League, a city founded, according to legend, by Ascanius, the son of Aeneas. Many historians and scholars have speculated that the site of the city's Acropolis was exactly the site of the modern town of Castel Gandolfo. But since the 19th century, the best hypothesis is that the settlement was on the opposite side of the Lake Albano, between the towns Costa Castel Marino and locality Palazzola di Rocca di Papa. Alba Longa was destroyed by the Romans after a war in 658 BC. In 396 BC, the Romans dug the Emissario del Lago Albano, in order to fulfill a prophecy of the Oracle of Delphi regarding the Battle of Veii, between the Republican Age and the Imperial Age, and the opening of the Appian Way. Many patrician summer residences were established, starting with the villa of Claudius at Herculano, attributed to Publius Claudius Pulcher, at which Claudius himself was assassinated in 54 BC. The biggest villa was the Villa of Domitian at Castel Gandolfo, a large complex that partly enclosed Villa Barberini, and embraced a large territory that included Lake Albano and numerous imperially owned buildings. The imperial villa, which fell into disuse after the construction of Hadrian's villa at Tivoli, was then called Massa Caesariana, and much later eventually became the property of the Holy See, was added to the Patrimonium Appiae. Medieval. The territory of Castel Gandolfo, including the Massa Caesariana, became the property of the Counts of Tusculum, and in the early 11th century became part of the Abbey of San Nilo Grottiferrata. The Gandolfi family of Lombard origin from Genoa erected the castrum, which still bears their name. In 1221, the castle became the possession of the Savelli family. In 1482, Pope Sixtus IV granted the ownership of Castel Gandolfo to the community of Eletri, which had been damaged by the Savellis. Pope Sixtus V elevated Castel Gandolfo to the level of duchy in favor of Bernardino Savelli. However, due to the insolvency of the Savelli duchy and the payment of huge debts, the property returned to the Apostolic Camera on 30 June 1596. Pope Clement VIII then included the castle in the list of goods of the Holy See that could not be sold. Early modern. Under the new government of the Apostolic Camera, Pope Paul V started major public works. Works included starting a water pipeline to the castle from the heights of Malafito and Palazzola, as well as the founding of a Reformed Franciscans monastery in 1619. Pope Urban VIII in 1628 was the first pope to stay in Castel Gandolfo. The first papal bull issued by a pope from Castel Gandolfo was also written by Pope Urban VIII on 25 October 1626. At the time of Pope Alexander VII, new public works were initiated, including the road that leads up to the Palazzola paralleling the crags of the Lake Albano, called in ancient Via Alessandrina. Other works include the accommodations of the Pontifical Palace and the construction of the Collegiate Church of St. Thomas of Villanova by architect Gian Lorenzo Bernini, and the Collegiate Church of Santa Maria Assunta in nearby Archaeological. On 24 September 1728, the Castel Gandolfo government was given pro tempore by Pope Benedict XIII in the bull Equitatis Maggiordomo of Sacred Palaces. Pope Benedict XIV made frequent visits to Castel Gandolfo, overseeing construction of the Papal Palace main facade bell tower, and widened the road that leads to Moreno, now State Route 216. After the French seized Rome in February 1798, they established the Repubblica Albanense, which included the towns Albano Lazia, Frascati, Velletri, and Moreno. In this case, Castel Gandolfo was joined to the city of Albano, but on 21 February 1798, Castel Gandolfo rose up against the French along with other inhabitants of the Castelli Romani. During the Napoleonic Wars, some 900 anti-French citizens of neighboring Velletri held out in Castel Gandolfo, resisting the siege by Joachim Murat. On 24 February 1798, the counter-revolutionaries were defeated by the French in the Battle of Fratici, resulting in the sacking of the Papal Palace. With the return of Pope Pius VII, Castel Gandolfo was returned to the Maggiordomo dei Sacri Palazzi, and this lasted until September 1870. According to tradition, the first mailbox in the world can be found in Freedom Square. Italian unification to the present. On the 20th of September 1870, the Papal States effectively ended with the taking of Porta Pia and the entrance of militiamen in Rome. Pope Pius IX, who had left Castel Gandolfo in May 1869, was the last pope to set foot in the Papal Palace until 1929. On the 11th of February 1929, with the publication of the Lateran Pacts, Benito Mussolini granted the nascent state of Vatican City possession of the Papal Palace with adjacent houses for a total of 45 hectares. In 1933, the Vatican Observatory was moved from the Vatican because of too much artificial light in Rome and installed at Castel Gandolfo. In January 2008, it was announced that, due to the deterioration of visibility in the Castelli Romani, the center would be moved to the United States of America. The 22nd of January 1944, an invasion by British and American forces at Anzio brought the Castelli Romani to the forefront of clashes during the Second World War. On the 1st of February 1944, Ariccia and Albano Lazio were bombed, resulting in the loss of 16 people and the destruction of the local convent of Poor Clares. On the 2nd of February 1944, Marino was hit and suffered several hundred victims. On the 10th of February 1944, bombs struck the College of Propaganda Fide, causing 500 civilian deaths. The pontifical villas served some 12,000 refugee children and 40 births during the war. On the 19th of September 1994, Italian President Oscar Luigi Scalfaro granted to the town of Castel Gandolfo the title of city. Points of interest: religious architecture. The parish church, dedicated to St. Thomas of Villanova, was designed by Bernini on the order of the Chigi Pope Alexander VII. It has a square Greek key-cross plan and houses a notable painting by Pietro da Cortona portraying Christ's crucifixion. Church of Our Lady of the Lake, wanted personally by Pope Paul VI, was consecrated by the same pope in 1977 on the shores of Lake Albano. Church of Santa Maria Assunta, construction began in 1619 with the consecration of the first stone by Pope Paul V. Church of Santa Maria, modern construction, situated in the populous district of Borgo San Paolo near State Road 7 via Appia. The Ugo Bazzi Theatre adjoins the church. Church of San Sebastiano, dedicated to the patron saint of the city and located on State Road 7 via Appia adjacent to the church cemetery. Church of Santa Maria della Cona. Civil architecture. The Apostolic Palace of Castel Gandolfo, the Pope's summer residence, is a 17th-century building designed by Carlo Maderno for Pope Urban VIII. The Papal Palace and the adjoining Villa Barberini that was added to the complex by Pius XI have enjoyed extraterritorial rights since the signature of the 1929 treaty with Italy. The little piazza directly in front was renamed Piazza della Libertà in the first flush of Italian unity after 1870. The Papal Palace remained unused from 1870 until 1929. Cibor Villa, built by Cardinal Camillo Cibo, was annexed to the whole of the pontifical villas at the time of Pope Clement XIV, who purchased it in 1774 from the owner at the time, Francesco III d'Este, Duke of Modena, for the sum of 80,000 crowns. Villa Barberini, built by the nephew of Pope Urban VIII, was incorporated in the extraterritorial complex of the pontifical villas in 1929. The manor houses the headquarters of the College of Propaganda Fide. As part of its extensive formal gardens is located the existing remains of the complex built by the Roman Emperor Domitian. Villa Santa Caterina, currently owned by the Pontifical North American College. During the construction of this villa, situated in the Herculaneum area, The Roman ruins of the villa attributed to Publius Claudius Pulcher were discovered. Villa Torlonia, built in the 16th century by the Roman family of the Giustiniani, then passed into ownership of the Duke of Bracciano Giuseppe Torlonia. The current appearance is due to the restoration of 1829, funded by Duke Carlo Torlonia. The villa has a beautiful landscape on the Agro Romano. Villa Chigi, built by Cardinal Flavio Chigi, nephew of Pope Alexander VII. Today it is home to a golf course. The two telescopes of the Vatican Observatory, which were moved from Rome to Castel Gandolfo in the 1930s, were still used until the 1980s. The headquarters of the Vatican Observatory is still located in Castel Gandolfo. However, its dependent research center, the Vatican Observatory Research Group, is hosted by Steward Observatory at the University of Arizona, Tucson, United States. The telescopes are located in Mount Graham, Arizona. Archaeological sites. The site of the Papal Palace, rebuilt on the ruins of the former castle, partly occupies the foundations of a summer residence of the Emperor Domitian that occupied 14 square kilometers. The residence was designed by the famous architect Rabirius. In the palace's inner courtyard is a Roman bust depicting Polyphemus, the Cyclops from whose cave Ulysses escaped. It was found in the nymphaeum of the imperial villa's gardens, an artificially constructed grotto of the crater lake's outlet. Villa of Publius Claudius Pulcher. The remains of a Roman villa located on the Appian Way, 23 kilometers of National Road 7 via Appia, inside the Villa Santa Caterina, owned by the Pontifical North American College. The Bergantino or Bath of Diana Nymphaeum, on the western shores of the Lake Albano, 2 kilometers after the Doric Nymphaeum. This structure, originally annexed to the Domitian Villa at Castel Gandolfo, opens in a circular cave of 17 meters in diameter. There is a bath in the middle of the cave, and the floor was completely covered with mosaics, of which a few fragments remain. Various parts of sculptural groups now kept at the Pontifical Palace in Castel Gandolfo have been found in the Nymphaeum. Emissario Lake Albano, an artificial conduit of runoff water 1,800 meters long that runs from the west coast of Lake Albano and leads into Castel Gandolfo locations. According to tradition, built in 396 BC to fulfill a prophecy during the conquest of Eri. Education. Castel Gandolfo does not host secondary schools, but within the municipal area lie a private kindergarten run by the Paul VI Pontifical Municipal School, which is primary and secondary level. Finally, there are the Scuola Media Statale, Dante Alighieri, and other religious institutions, which deal with primary education. Walsh University, which has its main campus in North Canton, Ohio, United States, holds a small campus in Castel Gandolfo. Classes are held in the fall, spring and summer for Walsh students. Art. Video games. Castel Gandolfo has also recently been portrayed in the video games Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and Assassin's Creed Revelations, in which the castle is a multiplayer map location. Notable citizens: Luigi Centuriona, priest and religious authority, 17th Superior General of the Society of Jesus; Massimo D'Azeglio, statesman and diarist; Pietro Savonin di Brazza, explorer of the Congo River and founder of Brazzaville, capital of the Republic of Congo, was an official of the French colonial government in Equatorial Africa. Ruby Dalma, actress; Achille Serra, lawman, writer, and prefect of Rome from 2003 to 2007 and senator, was an honorary citizen of Castel Gandolfo on the 18th of January 2007. Events. The feast of the patron saint, Saint Sebastian, is celebrated on the first weekend of September. Though the feast of this saint is marked on the calendar on the 20th of January, the festival concludes with fireworks over the lake. The village celebrates St. Paul and St. Mary Auxilia Trice the last Sunday of May. The local market takes place on Friday morning. Festival of Peaches, held on the last Sunday of July with organized cultural, entertainment, and sporting events. March for Peace, established by municipal statute in the month of January of each year. Premio Città di Castel Gandolfo, a prize to personalities, bodies, and associations that bring the city prestige and better quality of life or have distinguished themselves in any branch of culture, sport, or human knowledge. Castel Gandolfo Photography competition established in 2007. Human geography. Urban. The original nucleus of living of the city is the Papal Palace, which was the ancient Castrum Gandolforum, the stronghold of the family Gandolfi, and the collegiate church of St. Thomas, which occupies the area of the ancient parish church of San Michele. This core is now occupied by the Piazza della Libertà, true heart of the historic center. The main artery of the historic center is Corso della Repubblica, which continues to Albano Lazio through the Galleria di Sopra. Other routes parallel this road including the Papal Palace and the panoramic Via della Saponara, overlooking Lake Albano. The new expansion of Castel Gandolfo has started since the beginning of the 20th century, first near the State Road 216 Maremana 3, then with the birth of the Borgo San Paolo a little further downstream, with the work of several cooperatives that have all that urbanized the area along State Road 7 via Appia. The urbanization of Pavona at the castle is also recent and follows State Road 207 Netterance and Provincial Road 101, a Via Colonel Frazioni. Pavona was centered around a tavern on the way to Nettuno and the villa of Cardinal Flavio Chigi, nephew of Pope Alexander VII. The place was urbanized during the 20th century, thanks to the opening of the railway Roma Velletri, and today is divided between the municipalities of Castel Gandolfo, Albano Lazio and Rome. The park castle, known as Pavona Pond due to the above-named round pond, has about 3,000 inhabitants and has as its patron Saint Street, Eugene III of Toledo. Moel di Castel Gandolfo, divided in part by the town of Albano Lazio, owe their name to the presence in the place of ancient mass fed by the waters of the emissary of Lake Albano, which were used until the 19th century by the inhabitants of Castel Gandolfo and Albano Lazio to crush the grain. Administration Mayor Maurizio Colacchio from the 29th of May 2007. Telephone +39 06 935 9181. Economy. Agriculture in all the municipalities in the Alban Hills. Agriculture, and particularly wine production, has always been the main economic voice and employer. Notable wines include the Frascati, the Maureno, the Velletri and the Colli Lagnavini. The production of wine, and vanished era of small farmers is maintained by major producers such as Cantina Social Gottiadero of Marino and Frascati, which is based in the nearby town of Castelluccia, and the wine seller Social Albano Lazio and Ariccia, based in Fontana di Papa.